challenge you to a game of Jenga. Do you fancy a game of Jenga?
Yeah, okay, I'll give you a game of Jenga.
All right, best of three. 3 games?
Yeah, best
Okay.
of 3, yeah.
Shall I go first?
You go first.
Okay, let's see.
Oh! Mary!
Oh! Oh! The table's not balanced properly. So we'll have to start again. Take 2. I'll go first.
Right, come on, I'm going to go first.
Oh, well, that wasn't a wise choice, was it, Dave? You didn't think about that one. Poor Dave. What do I mean by a wise choice? What does it mean to be wise? Is it the same thing as being smart or clever? Why don't you pause the video and have a chat about that now? I wonder what you said. To be smart means to be intelligent. Somebody who is smart learns quickly and they remember what they've learnt. The word clever is thought to come from a Scandinavian word which means skillful, and it also means to be intelligent and quick to learn. However, you can be clever in a good, creative way or in a bad, tricky way. For example, being clever might be a good thing if you're in a maths lesson and you come up with a really clever solution to a problem. You've worked it out by yourself. That's being clever in a good way. But a burglar who finds a clever way to get into a building is not using his intelligence in a creative and good way, but rather in a bad way. The word wise has a lot to do with being intelligent, but it's much, much more than that. A wise person knows the difference between right and wrong. They have good judgment and they know what to do in a situation. There have been lots of wise people throughout history. Confucius was an ancient Chinese teacher who wanted everyone to see the importance of making wise and thoughtful choices. One of his sayings was, "Everything has a beauty of its own, but not everyone is able to see it." Aristotle was an ancient Greek philosopher who knew about and had studied almost every subject that existed in his time, but he also thought a lot about what was right and what was wrong. Aristotle said, "Good habits formed at youth make all the difference." Mother Teresa is listed as being a wise woman because she lived a life in the service of others and demonstrated how to love others and get on with each other. One of her most famous sayings is, "We can do no great things, only small things with great love." But King Solomon is considered to be the wisest man who ever lived. We can read about King Solomon and his wisdom in the Old Testament part of the Bible, and he even has a book full of some of his wise words called Proverbs. A proverb is a piece of advice. You may have heard some of them. For example, somebody may have said to you, "Two wrongs don't make a right." We're going to look at some famous proverbs now, and we're going to see if you can link the proverb, the right piece of advice, to the right scenario. I'll give you 6 proverbs and they'll all appear on the screen, and then I will give you a scenario, and you might want to pause the screen at that point and see which proverb, which piece of advice fits the right scenario. So here we go. Number 1, time waits for no one. Number 2, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. Proverb number 3, too many cooks spoil the broth. Number 4, don't count your chickens before they hatch. Proverb number 5, a stitch in time saves 9. And the final proverb, the early bird catches the worm. Now here come the scenarios. Scenario 1. I wonder, shall I ask all of Year 6 to tidy the PE store? Emily went straight to the school office early this morning to make sure she got her football letter in to get the last place. I wonder, should I call the plumber in? I've noticed a dripping tap in Year 4. The netball team is so good this year, they'll win the league for sure. Turn the TV off and get your homework done. It's nearly time for tea. I should have picked that one. It's much better. I wonder how you got on. Now here are the answers. Time waits for no one. In other words, don't put things off. Turn the TV off and get your homework done. It's nearly time for tea. Number 2, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. Fix the scenario. Oh, I should have picked that one. It's much better. Number 3, too many cooks spoil the broth. Matches up with, I wonder, shall I ask all of Year 6 to tidy the PE store? No, there'll be so many people. Proverb number 4, don't count your chickens before they hatch, means don't be overly confident. In other words, the netball team is so good this year, they'll win the league for sure. But you never know. Proverb number 5, a stitch in time saves 9. Goes with, should I call the plumber in? I've noticed a dripping tap. In other words, if you sort a small problem out, it can stop an even bigger one. And finally, the early bird catches the worm. Emily was the early bird who caught the worm because she went straight to the school office to make sure she got her football letter in to get the last place. Wise words indeed, but where does wisdom come from? How does someone become wise? Well, first of all, we can gain experience from life. A wise person will learn from their mistakes and become wiser through them. That's one way of becoming wise. Secondly, we can gain wisdom by listening to people who are older than us, our grandparents and parents, our teachers and other adults that we have. We can listen to them and learn from their experiences. But King Solomon asked for wisdom. When Solomon became king, one night he had a dream. In the dream, he heard God speaking to him, saying, "Ask me for anything at all, and I will give it to you." Solomon said to God, "I don't know how to be a good king. Show me what is right and wrong when people need my help. I want to be wise." God said, "Because you did not ask for something for yourself, like riches or power, I will make you wise like no other king ever, and I will also make you rich, powerful, and famous. Wow, I wonder what you would have asked God for. Solomon did in fact become the richest, most powerful, but most important of all, wisest king. Many people in Israel had problems and arguments with others, and they would ask King Solomon to decide what was right. One day, 2 women came to Solomon. The 2 mothers lived together, each with their new baby. But sadly, one of the babies had died in the night, and so its mother swapped it for the live baby, pretending it was hers. She refused to give it back. The mothers kept arguing. It's my baby. No, it's not. It's my baby. It's my baby. No, it's not. It's... Stop! Shouted Solomon. I have an idea. I will cut the baby in half and give you half each. All right, said the mother, who had stolen the live baby. We'll have half each. But the real mother cried out and said, No, don't hurt my baby. She can have him. Then the king knew who the real mother was. When people heard how wise and fair King Solomon was, and how he knew what was right and what was wrong, they came from miles around to listen to his wise words. And we still use some of his wise words today. This story reminds me that I can ask God for wisdom and for discernment, just like Solomon did. But what does Jesus have to say about wisdom and where it comes from? Well, Jesus had a lot to say about wisdom and said some very wise words. He said things like, do not judge others, or you will be judged. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Love one another as I have loved you. And many, many more wise words. Jesus also told a story, a very famous story that you possibly have heard before. A story about 2 builders. A wise one? And a not so wise one? Here'll do. back to the game of Jenga. It's all about what you build on and how you build. Remember that wobbly table from earlier? Life is a bit like a game of Jenga. It's full of choices, and the choices we make have consequences. Unwise choices have bad consequences. Good choices, wise choices, will have good consequences. The wise man made a wise choice and built upon the rock, even though it was harder work and it took a lot longer. When the floods came, the house stood firm, unlike the house that was built quickly on the sand. Jesus said, if we want to be wise, then we need to listen to his wise words and build our lives on them, and that God will help us if we ask him. And that's what we're going to do now. It's time to talk to God. If you'd like to make this prayer your own, then listen to the words that I say, and if you agree with them, say Amen. Otherwise, have a think about what it means to be wise. God, thank you for all the wise people in our lives, like our teachers, our grandparents, parents, and other adults who care for us and who we can learn from. Help us to listen to their advice and to learn from their experience. Help us too to learn from our mistakes and not make the same mistakes over and over again. But thank you that we can ask you for help. Help to make the wise choices. Help us to use the wise words of Jesus as we build firm foundations for our lives so that we too may be wise. Amen. Take 3. Shall I go first?
You can go first.
Gently, doesn't it?
Well done.
That was a wise choice this time, Dave. Well done. You've learnt from your mistakes.
I try.
Yeah!